Hi, I'm Chef Scott Samuel here at the Culinary Institute of America at Gracetown. Today I'm going to show you how to make a dish. It's an entree. It's a wild rice and dried blueberry stuffed pork tenderloin with a watercress and apple salad dressed with an apple cider vinaigrette. The stuffing is the first thing we want to make. I like the stuffing because it gets used to stuff a chicken breast, or I could serve it alongside a roasted turkey, but it's really got a few different applications. So let's take a look at our ingredients here. The ingredients right over here are all the ingredients for my dried blueberry wild rice stuffing. I've cooked some wild rice ahead of time until it's al dente. I have onions, celery, shallots, garlic that I'm going to saute together with olive oil, bay leaf, and fresh thyme. And I'm going to get a very deep caramelization out of all of these vegetables. Then I'm going to deglaze with some white wine, cook that down to au sec, which is dry. And then I'll take it off the heat and I can add my cooked wild rice, dried blueberries, some fresh minced tarragon, and then I'm going to grate a Granny Smith apple at the very last second to add some depth and some crunch to the stuffing. I'll cool the stuffing completely, and I'll show you how to stuff the pork tenderloin, roast the pork tenderloin, and then serve that with an apple cider vinaigrette dressed salad. So I have apple cider vinegar, olive oil, and shallots. I'll season it with salt and pepper. That will be my dressing. So the other two ingredients I have here are minced oregano and some mustard. I'm going to use this to rub the inside of my pork tenderloin before I stuff it with my dried blueberry stuffing. So the first step is to start this base. So the ingredients I want to start, and this is very similar to a stuffing that I might use to stuff turkey, but I want to start with the aromatic vegetables cooked down with some olive oil. I'm going to start this on medium-high heat to get it going. Onions, celery, minced shallot, minced garlic. I'm going to add a small pinch of salt in the very beginning. This is going to help draw out the moisture of the vegetables. And take a look at the volume of the vegetables. By the time I'm done cooking this down to caramelization, it'll be half the volume, and the sweetness of all these vegetables will be accentuated. This will take about 10 to 15 minutes. So as this is cooking down, let's do a couple of the other components that we need to for this dish. Let's make our dressing. This apple cider dressing is very simple. The key components are olive oil and apple cider vinegar. I'm adding a little bit of a fresh apple cider or apple juice, fresh minced shallot. So this is a very simple vinaigrette. It's not emulsified. If I wanted to emulsify it, I might add a teaspoon of mustard. But I want it to be very loose. I don't want a creamy vinaigrette to dress my greens. All right, so as my stuffing base is cooking, you can see the vegetables are already starting to get translucent. I'm going to add my fresh bay leaf and my minced thyme leaves. I'm going to have my white wine on hand to deglaze after I've cooked these down for about 15 minutes. Okay, so as our stuffing is cooking down, I'm going to lower it down to medium heat and cook it slowly. I want to caramelize these vegetables without burning them. I'm going to get everything ready. Like I said, the white wine is ready to go. Our wild rice, dried blueberries, apple, and tarragon. We'll come back to this once we have some deep caramelization and finish our stuffing. All right, so the stuffing is cooked for about 15 minutes, and you can see the volume of the vegetables has probably decreased by half. I'm concentrating the natural flavors of all of these aromatic vegetables. Now is the time to deglaze with our white wine. And I want to cook it until it's dry. This is going to add kind of an acid-based flavor of our the wine to the stuffing. And then I'll be able to add my cooked wild rice, my dried blueberries, fresh tarragon, and I'll grate some fresh apple that will be folded in. All right, this is almost dry. I'm waiting for all the wine to be cooked off. That looks about right. I'll turn off the heat and stir in my 1 cup of cooked wild rice, my 1 cup of dried blueberries, my fresh tarragon, and my grated Granny Smith apple. So this can be removed from the heat. I'm going to stir it to combine it. and I'll cool it completely. This can be made a couple days ahead of time before we stuff the pork tenderloin. But let me cool this, and then we'll go into the next step of stuffing the pork tenderloin. Okay, so now that our wild rice dried blueberry stuffing is finished, it's cooled, I'm ready to stuff my pork tenderloin. So all the tools are here. I have the fresh oregano, my mustard, salt and pepper that I'm going to season the inside of my pork with once I cut it. And then I have my wild rice. I have my string that I'm going to use to tie it like a roast. My pan is hot, it's ready to go. So the first thing I want to do is prep the pork tenderloin. And I like to take some of this extra silver skin off with the back of a knife. After we do this, we're going to cut it open like a book, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So this will be our presentation side up, so I turn that upside down to the back side, come down the pork tenderloin with one first slit, and then on either side open it up again so that I'm kind of flattening out the pork tenderloin without pounding it. I'm going to season with my fresh oregano, my mustard, salt and pepper, and then I can proceed to add the stuffing, and I'm adding about a cup for each of the pork tenderloins. So now I'm going to proceed to tie this like a roast. I take one end and start with a knot. And then I twist it and go along about every inch and kind of cinch it tight before I twist it again. And every inch, I take this and tight, but not too tight. I just want to hold it together while it cooks. I'll tie it off on the back side. Season the outside with salt and pepper. So now I'm ready to cook the pork tenderloin. It's tied, the stuffing is inside. I have a 400-degree preheated oven. I'm going to sear it in this pan here. I've added some olive oil to it. I'm going to do a medium-high heat. So what I want to do is sear it on all sides, about 2 minutes on each side to get some great color. And I can put the whole pan right into the oven, or I can put it on a rack and roast it in the oven that way. So this will just take a couple minutes of searing on each side, and once I have a nice color, I will put it on a rack and put it right in the oven to roast. It should roast for about 10 to 12 minutes. This is a larger pork loin, so on the 12-minute side at 400 degrees. And then I'll bring it out and let it rest in a warm area for about 8 minutes before I slice into it. That'll give you some time to get my salad together, my garniture, my plate, and then we'll be able to rest and serve this pork dish. About another 2 minutes on that one side. All right, great color. Let's put this in the oven. Turn off the heat. And we'll roast this for 10 to 12 minutes at 400. So the pork has had a chance to roast for about 12 minutes at 400 degrees. I think it's about done. We're looking for a temperature of 160. So this is a warm place over the stove. I'm going to go ahead and let this pork rest for about 8 minutes before I slice into it and then present my dish. Okay, our pork has had a chance to rest, and now I'm going to slice a couple medallions off for our dish. Okay, for our salad, toss with a little bit of vinaigrette. Salt and pepper. Couple medallions of the pork. A drizzle of our balsamic glaze. And there we have our wild rice, dried blueberry stuffed pork tenderloin with a watercress salad dressed with apple cider vinaigrette.